Welcome back to MidPoint. Media commentator in the Middle East, a dissident figure to the Iranian government, author of the book The Iran Threat, President Ahmadinejad and the Coming Nuclear Crisis. Once again, Alireza Jafarzadeh joins us. Alireza, let me get right back to a point that you talked about in the last segment, and we're talking about the United States here. Are we to understand that, in your opinion and the opinion of those that know the Iranian governmental situation right now, because the United States is keeping this administration, this government, this dictatorship alive, we are the reasons why the opposition simply cannot rise up enough, cannot get enough push behind them to overthrow this government and make some changes? It lies immediately and squarely on this U.S. administration.
I think the United States has played a significant role in allowing the Iran regime to survive, and let me explain why. First of all, the Iranian regime's budget that was introduced just a few days ago for next Iranian year that starts in March has a reduction of the revenue as a result of oil because the oil prices went down, 40% reduction of the revenue, yet the budget for the Revolutionary Guards has gone up 30%. The main responsibility of the Revolutionary Guards is basically keeping the population down. And at the same time, the rise in the number of executions. And at the same time, you see in the past week alone, all the major media in Iran have been talking about the prospect of a repeat of the summer 2009 uprising, which was led by the organized opposition. Most of the people who were arrested or sentenced to death or executed by the Iran regime belonged to the main Iranian opposition, the MEK, which, by the way, was the main party that exposed all the major nuclear sites of Iran. So Iran has a major concern. That's an existential threat to the regime. They're afraid of their own population. What brought the Ayatollahs to the negotiating table was, first of all, the sanctions imposed on them, but most importantly, the fear of the political backlash of the sanctions on the population. They were afraid that the people will repeat what happened in 2009, and they were afraid that they may not survive the same way they survived then.
Okay, so let me try another tack here then when it comes down to a lot of this, because we've got short time. I want to make sure we get a couple of things in here, Alireza. The fact here then is, the U.S., though, on the other side will say, wait a minute, we can't be any more hardline than we are right now because it will put severe strife on the people of Iran. We can't be responsible for that. And if we get too hardline, then the Iranians, nuclear power, Syria, any other allies they may have with Iraq, we're only going to make it worse. What about that?
Well, I tell you this, the concessions that Tehran has gotten in the past 1 year while the negotiations were going on, legitimizing their nuclear program, the money that they have gotten from the United States, basically unfreezing some of their assets, about $5 billion just as a result of the recent extension. This is all pumping resources, not to the people of Iran who get no benefit out of this, and prices are going higher and higher, but it funds the Revolutionary Guards, it funds the Quds Force, it funds their operation in Syria and Iraq. You know, the budget that they're allocating for funding their operation in Syria and Iraq is twice as the budget that they have allocated for universities with 2 million students in Iran. This is just a new budget. So what the money they're getting is not helping the population, and the people know it. The people want the Western countries, they want the United States, they want other countries to step up pressure on this regime because they see this regime responsible for their misery, for their suffering, and for their economic hardship.
Okay, I got about a minute left here, so let me ask you on the nuclear question then. In your opinion, and the opinion of those people that you know, who know the Iranian government now, know the Ayatollahs, understand what goes on, is there any doubt in your mind that if the Iranians were pushed to the edge, if they had nuclear fissionable material, that they would stick it on the top of a rocket, that they would launch it against the West, they would have no question and no pause whatsoever to use a nuke against any country in the West that they didn't agree with?
Well, if the simple answer to your question is yes. And look at the behavior of this regime over the past 3 decades. They have left no mercy on their own population, on other countries around the world. They have been extending their terrorist arm from Latin America, South America, to the Middle East, to Iraq, Syria, everywhere. this is the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism trying to acquire a nuclear capability for a purpose. If the nuclear weapons would serve them no purpose, they wouldn't spend a lot of treasure and the trouble and the sanctions and all the things that comes with it in order to obtain a bomb for just sitting there and doing nothing, not serving their purpose. So that's why I think the world has to do everything possible in their capability to prevent the Iranian regime from getting the nuclear weapons. And there are two factors that can play with it. One is the domestic factor, which I explained. It's right there. The second is pressure, pressure, pressure. That's it.
All right. Want to make a point that the president says he will not accept new sanctions legislation against Iran. There's going to be a fight between he and Congress on this. Alireza Jafarzadeh, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much. I'll look forward to the next time we gather.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Coming up next, Cheryl Atkinson fighting the Obama administration in court.